the art of thinking beyond the obvious. And today I have my special guest. He's entrepreneur, investor, mentor, thought leader, and the author of the book The Groundbreaker, none other than Mr. Kanwal Rekhi. Welcome, Mr. Canwell on Abstract Essay. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I
Yeah,
miss?
well, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure to be on your podcast. I am Kanwal Rekhi. I am an entrepreneur in Silicon Valley, and I just finished writing my memoir, The Groundbreaker. I was the first Indian American CEO and first Indian American to take company public on Nasdaq back in 1980s.
Mm. Yes, and thank you so much for sharing your memoir to the world, Mr. Canwell. Thank you. So let's talk about your memoir itself. The title links the American dream and the rise of modern India. How does your subject story reveal, and these are not as separate narratives, but deeply intertwined forces that fueled each other?
So, so I was yeah, immigrant from India in 60s, and eventually achieved my American dream by becoming an entrepreneur in Silicon Valley. I pioneered computer networking, which is the basis of internet now, back in 1982, and it also sort of explains the rise of modern India. India used to be a land of snake charmers and beggars at one time, and now it has a new branding as a technology powerhouse and an entrepreneurial powerhouse. These two stories are intertwined because we succeeded, Indian Americans succeeded in America as entrepreneurs, and we brought the notion of entrepreneurship back to India in 90s, and India is becoming very entrepreneurial now.
Very well said, Mr. Canwell. So, in studying these groundbreakers live, what was the most pivotal moment where a personal choice intersected with the massive historical or economic shift, setting the trajectory for everything that followed?
So, so by 1989, I had been in the US about a dozen years and had done my master's in electrical engineering at Michigan Tech, and I had been working for 10 plus years. And I realized, that I wasn't getting the promotions that I thought I might, especially into the management ranks, and I felt, a little bit, yeah, threatened and disappointed that my, you know, career had peaked, at the age of 35. There was no way to move up from where I was because the America didn't have a tradition of promoting Indian Americans into management. So I had to decide whether I want to stay at the job, which was paying well, or do my own startup. And I chose to do my own startup back in 1982. And that changed everything for myself and for many other Indians.
Mr. Canwell, this story could easily be framed as a classic immigrant success story. How does your book complicate the narrative to reveal a more nuanced truth about sacrifice, identity, and the piece of building bridges between two worlds?
Well, so this is a
Unknown caller.
this is a so I'm sorry about that one. Yeah,
No
this is
worries.
a typical American success story, immigrant story. So it could have been easily anybody else, but in this case, it was me, an Indian American, who broke through the class ceiling. The Indian Americans have now become a CEO, very commonplace CEO of Microsoft, CEO of IBM, CEO of Google. They are all Indian Americans. Federal Express, yeah, Starbucks. But I was the first one. I was the first one back in 1982, 83. But I had to become a CEO of my own startup. Now, the Indians are CEOs of 10% of American Fortune 500 companies now. So, so it was a pivotal moment. It changed, both perception and reality of the Indians in America.
Mm. Interesting, Mr. Canwell. What does this specific entrepreneur's journey teach us about our current moment, about global competition and the flow of ideas and talent, and evolving meaning of a national identity in connected world?
Well, you know, as I mentioned in my book, it wasn't an easy linear path. We had to fight all sorts of biases. You know, and the Indians had established themselves as good tatties as early as 1973, 74. They were seen as good engineers, good tatties, good programmers. But the notion that they could become general managers, they could sell, they could market, they could manage finances was not established. Not established. So in my case, I led the charge, and I had to sort of, shatter all those notions along the way. Yeah, there was a fear that the white Americans may not want to work for Indian bosses. I proved that to be to be wrong also. So so the story is a interesting story in the sense that it paved the way for many people to follow, and also inspired many in India to become entrepreneurs and succeed. Indian IT industry was inspired by us, people like me. It is over $300 billion in size now, right?
Hmm.
So it's a very interesting story to tell.
Interesting indeed. So let's talk about the character, motivation, and sacrifice, Mr. Canwal. What was the primary fuel for your subject's ambition? What is the desire to prove something, to build legacy, to solve a problem, or something more personal or familiar that drove them?
Yeah. So in terms of personal sacrifices, I was only in my 20s, so it wasn't a big deal. I mean, yeah, I suffered some humiliation. Yeah, yeah, So I gave up my very good paying job, to try my hand at entrepreneurship. So all that stuff, is there. Yeah, the main driving force is not money. Main driving force is to prove that you are as good as anybody else out there, and you can only prove it by doing it. Taking the risk, you know, yeah, and going after it. So it was not that long an effort, because I started my company in 1982, and within 5 years, we had gone public. So it was a pretty rapid. But I look back, I don't remember much hardship. I don't remember big sacrifices. Because the success came fairly quickly.
Hmm. To succeed in America, while impacting India requires navigating two different cultures, expectation and business environments. How did your subject develop these double consciousness, and what were its most significant personal costs?
Yeah. So all right, I came to US at the age of 22. So I was still young, fresh graduate. I was not set in my Indian ways. And it was a dozen years before I made my move. Almost 15 years before I made my move to become an entrepreneur. So I was by and large American. India being part of the British Empire, the Indians had a good experience with the Western, you know, Westerners, especially the English-speaking Westerners. We had a pretty good command of English language. So, so from all those perspectives, it wasn't a major effort. We just had to prove, that we were as sharp as we thought we were, and yeah, the only way you can prove that one is by doing it. You can't tell people you're sharp. You just have to show it to them. And that's what I was trying to do. And like I said in my book, the effort, even though appeared to be Herculean at the time, was only 5 years, and I wasn't that old. Yeah, I wasn't that old. Yeah. So and I was fairly well set financially before I did launch my company. So I was married and had kids, so so I had to worry about their well-being. So I was taking the risk, but it was not a foolish risk.
Hmm. Very well said, Mr. Kanwal. And as a groundbreaker, they often pave a way for others while bearing the full weight of being the only one in the room. What aspect of this isolation or pressure surprised you the most in your research?
Well, so like I mentioned before, nobody believed in us. Nobody believed that we could do it. And so we, as a result, we had no mentors, no role models, nobody to talk to. So it was a very lonely journey. It was a very lonely journey. When we were sort of in need of help, there was nobody to help us. So we had to draw the strength from inside. But later on, when we did succeed, we started this group called the Indus Entrepreneurs, Thai, to solve that problem. We said it shouldn't have been that lonely, shouldn't have been that hard for us. Why don't we make it easier for the next generation? So the Indus Entrepreneur was launched in 1992, 1993, and that had a major impact on the Indian Americans in the valley here, who saw us as role models, who saw us as, especially me, as mentors. And there was a wave of Indian startups, started in 1995 in the valley, and like they say, rest is history. There was a wave of startups in India also after that one.
Very interesting, Mr. Canwall. Behind every pioneering figure is often a network of crucial support who played most unexpected or unappreciated role in enabling this journey. A mentor, a family member, or first believer.
Well, so there was none for us. For my generation, there was none. There was, like I mentioned, nobody believed in us, nobody encouraged us. I did have a supporting wife. I'm married, to an American woman. She did believe in me. She did encourage me. She did think I could do it. But wives are supposed to do that. Yeah, yeah. We did not have any role models or any mentors whatsoever. That's the reason we started TIE, the Indus Entrepreneur Network. So the next generation of entrepreneurs from that part of the world will have the role models, will have the mentors, and TIE has done a superb job of doing that.
Let's talk about the first bridge, Mr. Canwal. What was the initial tangible link this entrepreneur built between the American system and the Indian opportunity? Was it the technology, capital, or the business model, or the pure talent?
Well, so America has a tradition of entrepreneurship. Yeah, America has a tradition of you know venture capital. America has a tradition of technology leadership, and they're all in spades here in Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley is the hotbed of entrepreneurship. Especially the technology entrepreneurship. And so I was here in Silicon Valley. We raised the money here. In the Indians, I mean, my generation of Indians coming from India were very good technically. We had down to the best technology schools in India. So by the time we arrived here, we were very good, very grounded in technology. We did our masters and PhDs here in the US also. I did my, I did my masters, but in Silicon Valley, yeah, if you are here for any amount of time, you start to ask, hey, everybody else is doing a startup, why not me? Just because I'm Indian American, Indian, I'm not able to do it, or am I being cheated, or not to do it? I thought I was the best engineer, and so I had to confront myself and say, if you are the best engineer and this is a technology startup, why don't you go try your hand and show you can do it? So it was all self-motivated, driven from inside, with a strong desire to prove, that we can do it.
Do it. We can do it for sure. And Mr. Kanwal, as an author, what are your short-term and long-term goals?
I'm sorry. Yeah, one more time.
What are your short-term and long-term goals?
Oh, my short-term goals and long-term goals, don't matter anymore. I am 80. I have achieved everything I thought, I might achieve in life. If I die tomorrow, I'll die happy. My long-term desire is to see India emerge. India is already emerging, so I shouldn't even worry there. India is the fourth largest economy in the world right now. It overtook from Japan this year, and it will overtake from Germany in another 2 to 3 years, and will become third largest economy after US and China. So my desire is to see that happen, but also start to wonder, if can India become number two? Can India overtake China? Maybe in my lifetime, 20 years. If I live to be 100. Yeah, but sometime, yeah, in next 20, 30 years, and I strongly believe that that will happen. Because China has issues. China has demographic issues. China has the political issues. They have done well up to now. India, on the other hand, has no demographic issues and no political issues. India is pretty robust, working democracy, and they're finally getting their economic act together. Can they overtake China in next 15 to 20 years? Maybe as much as 30 years. And so my desire to live to see it, it's very unlikely because I'm already 80. Yeah, right.
Good luck to your goals, Mr. Kanwal. I'm looking forward for more success. And what will be a piece of advice for those people out there who want to be like you?
And my advice to the younger people from everywhere, yeah, it's all right to get a job and do okay, but you will never know how good you are unless you try your hand at entrepreneurship. To achieve your full potential, to make achieve your maximum possible success, you have to go try your hand at becoming an entrepreneur. It's all right if you decide it's not for you, because you know yourself better than anybody else. But then you'll have to answer, am I not good enough? Was I being cheated? Yeah,
Hmm.
So I tell people, find out how good you are by doing it. And by the way, if you fail as an entrepreneur, it's not a shame that you failed, but it would be a shame that you didn't even try.
Yes, definitely. People, don't be afraid to fail because you will learn from it. For sure. So, Mr. Canwell, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. my other podcast because my abstract essay is already in sixth season, abstract poetry in third season, and my book 101 review in sixth season as well. Comedy 101 third season, and my food 101 in sixth season too. Geography 101 love letters, movie 101 review, music 101 of fifth season, a Science 101, Sex 101, fourth season, and Spiritual Awakening, Trivia 101, Law 101, Mental Health 101, Motivation 101, Entrepreneurship 101, of course, My Bible Verses 101 are my baby podcasts. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. Canwell, if a young entrepreneur in Mumbai or Silicon Valley reads your book and absorb its lessons, what is the one piece timeless guidance you hope if they internalize above all else?
Well, I already mentioned that you have to just give yourself a chance to prove how good you are, and just don't do it. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of failure. Failure is not a disaster. Many people believe it is. Failure is just a bump on the road.
Yes, people, don't be afraid and stop procrastinating and create your legacy to the world, just like Mr. Kanwal. So, Mr. Kanwal, can you please invite the listeners to support the Groundbreaker?
Well, yeah, the groundbreaker is available for pre-order now on Amazon.com. And the book will ship on 24th. It has done fantastic reviews in India, and it's getting good reviews in the US also. Even though the US book is not out, so US reviews are still private, but it has done really fantastic public reviews in India. And the book was published in India a month earlier than in the US, and the first print is sold out. So they're rushing to print more in India. I expect the book to do well in US, because all my reviewers have told me they have found the book riveting, dripping is the word they used. So I encourage you to go buy one, and it's a short book. It's only 280 pages, and it's easy read.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Canwal because if you support him, for sure, the Groundbreaker will empower people all over the world. So, Mr. Canwal, thank you so much for your time.
Bye bye, Daniel. Thank you.
Motica people, yes, thank you, Mr. Canwal. Motica people, see you soon.